So the topic of my paper was Tommy John surgery and how the amount of cases of Tommy John have risen over the last few decades. Back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, you didn't really see as many cases of Tommy John as you see in today's game, especially amongst the youth. Just rising cases. In my paper, I used three main key points to focus on, and that was how kids more focus on just pitching at an earlier age, and then they also play more year-round baseball, and then they also focus on throwing more off-speed pitches, specifically curveballs and sliders. When they just focus on pitching at an earlier age, they're throwing more pitches than what kids used to, and so by the time they get into their late teens, early 20s, and are playing in a college or professional career, they've already thrown a lot more pitches and put a lot more stress on their UCL ligament in their arm than what they could have prevented. The other big factor is how kids are playing more year-round. In today's world, travel baseball is a big thing where kids are playing tournaments every weekend, most of the year. And in these tournaments, kids could be pitching 2, maybe 3 games in a weekend, whereas back in the day, they used to play in leagues where they're only playing a couple times a week. The third biggest cause that I've researched was how kids are throwing curveballs and sliders at a much earlier age. Those pitches require different grips that aren't as natural to the arm and to the UCL as a fastball, and so by throwing those repetitively, it puts a lot more stress on the elbow. My favorite source that I used was actually an online website that I found by Driveline Baseball, where it discusses the difference in stress on the elbow between throwing fastballs and off-speed pitches. It was my favorite just because it had a lot of data, more than the other sources that I used, and it talked about the biomechanics of throwing, and it had statistics and all kinds of information that just really helped my paper. I think the most useful piece of information that I learned is that kids just need rest, and in my opinion, I think that's the biggest change in today's game, is how kids just don't rest their arms like they used to, and because there's little to no rest, that's why there's so many cases of Tommy John.